Test, 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 test. Good morning. How are y'all this morning?
Good morning, Andy.
Good morning, Fred.
Good morning, Fred.
Are you on? Come on, get up and sing. I can't help it. God makes me want to sing. Whoa. Take it off Jimi Hendrix setting.
Check, check, check. Oh, I am on now. There I am. Well, some of you are standing and ready to sing.
All set, Mary?
I think we're all set.
Let's do this.
We
Here
have
we go.
liftoff here. Lift up, at least.
1, 2, 3. I can't help it. God makes me.
Want to sing.
I can't help it.
God makes me want to sing.
Wanna sing.
It makes me feel so good. I could do most anything. I am loving every little thing. I can see the face of God in paupers and kings. We're all precious, nothing less or more. We've all got the same treasure in store. I am loving every little thing.
Everybody sings. I can't help it. God makes me want.
Wanna sing.
Yes, He does. I can't help it.
God makes me wanna sing.
Oh, yes, He does.
It makes me feel so good. I could do most anything.
You know I'm rising to a higher place with the wind at my back, smile upon my face. You know that I am living my dream a little more each day. Keeps getting easier to find my way. I am rising to a higher place. I can't help it.
God makes me wanna sing. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. It makes me feel so good. I can do most anything.
Do another one. I can't
Help it. God makes me wanna sing.
let me hear you.
I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. It makes me feel so good. I can do most anything. It makes me feel so good. I can do most anything. Woo! Excelente. Please look at your neighbor and greet them with that loving energy you got there.
Oh, I like that. Come dancing up.
Yay! Woo! Good morning! Oh, I love this huggy little place. You know, you are who you are and you surround yourself with people like you, right? That's why we're here. Gotta love it. Hi, my name is Debbie Hoffman, and I'm a proud member of your board of directors. I want to welcome you because I know it's 76 degrees outside. It would be just gorgeous to be out on that beach right now, but we appreciate your energy and your presence here. You know, we learn in Science of Mind, change our thought, change our mind, change our... Yay! That was a quiz. That was good. I love it. If you're here for the first time also, we won't make you get up and dance, but we'd love to have you hold your hand up. We have a little gift for you. Our ushers are over here with a gift. Anybody new for the first time? And if you're too shy, oh, we've got some winners back there. Woohoo! Welcome. Want to take a moment too and welcome our Dreamer Streamers out there in internet land around the world. Woohoo! Thank you for joining us also. And if you're too shy, there's some packets, by the way, up at the front counter. You can pick one up there also. Without further ado, one of our favorite singers in the whole wide world is here today to entertain us and share his beautiful gift with us, Mr. Michael Paul Smith.
Are we on? Yes, we're on. Good morning. Oh, can't tell you how wonderful it is to be here in Redondo. We're in San Diego now, so I'm driving in the morning, which is a lovely drive. Most of the time I'm sleeping while Dana's driving, but it's worth it. I mean, yeah, to be here. So hello to everybody. So happy to talk to you. If you got a minute after service, it'll be great. If you believe within your heart, you know that no one can change the path that you must go. Believe what you feel and know you're right, because the time will come around when you say it's yours. Believe there's a reason to be. Believe you can make time stand still, and know that the moment you try, when you believe, oh yeah, believe in yourself right from the start. Believe in the magic there in your heart. Believe all these things, not because I ask you to. Just believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, just believe in yourself, and all your dreams come true. Woo! Oh yeah, thank you, Andy. Believe there's a reason to be. Believe you can make time stand still, and know that the moment you try, when you believe, I know you will. Believe in yourself right from the start. Believe in the magic that's there in your heart. Believe all these things, not because I ask you to. Just believe in yourself. When you believe in yourself, just believe in yourself, then all
morning again. I really have to give thanks for our Michael. Yay! Okay, the topic this morning is abundance. So when Jesus declared his mission, he said, I've come that you may have life and that you may have it more abundantly. And then he also taught, as you believe in your heart, that is with all your conviction, so it's done unto you. The key word here is as. In other words, the way in which we believe, that's what is honored by law automatically, and generally speaking, instantaneously. And really, what else can we do? We choose the right thoughts, we accept them, and so it's done unto us. That's simple, truly simple. On page 556 of his textbook, Dr. Holmes wrote this meditation, quote, abundance is my inheritance. Abundance is mine. I cannot be deprived of my supply. The trees do not lack for leaves, nor do the flowers fail to blossom. Am I not as important as they? I know that God intended me to be absolutely supplied with everything that makes for beauty, well-being, progressive living, happiness. I myself am to blame when the gifts of spirit fail to appear, just by thinking differently. Since I know the truth of my being, I no longer hinder or retard my good from coming to me. I expect and accept all that I need to make my life happy and worthwhile. For every attribute of God is my inheritance. Nothing can keep my good from me. For I am one with the universal essence of life, and its substance manifests in my experience as I believe, unquote. What I know is that thinking lack and limitation is a habit. Since our thought produces our daily living, it's necessary that we create a habit of recognizing that we live in a universe of infinite abundance. Because this abundance is obvious. For instance, we see it in the superabundance of oxygen. Oxygen is crucial to life. And when do we ever think of the abundant oxygen? We just don't. We just accept it. We don't even recognize it. But there is a huge, infinite abundance. How about the abundance of ideas, creative ideas? How about the abundance of the marvelous cells in your body? No less than 50 billion, according to scientists. Abundance can be seen. It's evident everywhere, always. Let's recognize abundance as our only reality. Let's look for it. Let's discover it. It's here now. I'm thinking of, where do you, each of you, see abundance? People, cars, houses, all that, including people, represent tons and tons and tons of money. That's a huge abundance. For instance, the population in the world, it's over 7 billion. That's abundance. Well, let's look for abundance everywhere, all the time. So please repeat after me. I live in a universe of infinite abundance. Abundance is my inheritance. I accept an abundance of all good right now. And so it is.
It's your singing debut. You're going to sound just like Michael Paul Smith now. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source. Joy is my power. Joy gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source. Peace is my power. Peace gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. Back to God. God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. One more time. So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Thing I need. Wow. Wow. Thank you, Andy. We're doing okay. We're going to welcome Lucy up here to share our announcements with us. And the crowd goes wild.
Good morning. Yay. It's like I have a whole group of cheerleaders every Sunday. It gets me ready for the week. Women's Circle meets today at 12:30 p.m. in the teen room. The AIDS Walk LA is a 34-year fundraiser for prevention, care, and advocacy programs for the thousands of men, women, and families affected by the HIV and AIDS disease in Los Angeles County. Hundreds of thousands of supporters walk and millions more donate, raising more than $82 million to combat HIV and AIDS each year. One of those supporters, Chuck Walu, is in the foyer collecting sponsors for the walk on October 19th. Visioning will continue on Monday nights at 6 p.m. The Noble Fellowship Group, formerly known as Men's Spirit Group, meets Monday, October 8th at 7 p.m. in the teen room. Science of Mind classes continue with The Power of Your Word with Dr. Morva's class on Wednesday evening starting at 7 p.m. Reverend Mary is teaching the metaphysical interpretation of the Bible on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. The Forgiveness Story Workshop with Billy Shank is on Sunday, October 14th at 1 p.m. in Richelieu Hall. The cost is a $20 love offering. Metaphysical Lab will be facilitated by Carolina Gutierrez and Linda Gautier. Tuesday nights in the teen room from 6:30 to 8:30 starting October 16th. This is a 6-week laboratory and the cost is $100. Linda Gautier is here to talk to you a little more about the Metaphysical Lab.
Carolina Gutierrez and myself, Linda Gautier, will be facilitating a metaphysical laboratory. What is a metaphysical laboratory, right? Well, when I first started taking classes and workshops, I loved the Science of Mind teachings. And I loved learning about the importance of managing my thoughts. what I had a little challenge about was how I would implement and put these teachings into my daily life. So I started asking questions about that. Well, Carolina was having the same thoughts and ideas. So one day we shared this idea. What if we create a workshop, an experiential lab, a laboratory where we could test out how we want to apply these teaching into our lives in specific situations. And our metaphysical laboratory was born. So if you want to be part of a small group where we come together for spiritual experience and we talk about and perfect the way we're applying these teachings into our lives, come and join us. We will be inspired and we will transform limiting beliefs, and it's a very beautiful experience. So come check us out in the foyer. We'll answer questions and sign up because it will be limited. We want to keep this a very intimate environment. That's when the best work happens. So see you out in the lobby.
Thank you, Linda and Carolina. Lake Arrowhead applications are now out. It will be May 24th to 27th, 2019. If you start the payment plan now, you can pay it off over 7 months. Applications are available at the front desk. We always have practitioners on duty. Look for them in the rear of the sanctuary rather than the foyer. We also offer prayer circle after both services. If you would like to join the circle, please come to the grand piano after service. The flowers today are presented in loving memory of Anne Kustich, whose memorial was celebrated here in the sanctuary yesterday. Anne, a longtime member of the center, is missed by her children, grandchildren, her many cousins, and so many friends. Please remain seated for the meditation song.
Please. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Be careful what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes our prayer. Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes our prayer.
And so, beloved presence, I'm here in this moment now to be totally focused upon the awareness that I am in the midst of my source, and my source fills me. And whenever I can consciously unify myself enough, harmonize myself enough to realize this to the point of feeling it, everything unlike the power and the presence of spirit disappears, dissipates itself. It cannot be where spirit is, for spirit is whole, spirit is complete. Spirit is that amazing sense of wholeness and fullness and wellness and oneness of being. And that's why I'm here in this moment now, to remind myself of this truth and to move more deeply into feeling it, allowing it to saturate my mind, my body, my heart, my soul, to be the energy that radiates out from me, that I am one, that I am life, I am light, I am love, I am peace, I am beauty, I am power, I am joy, I am wisdom, I am grace, I am knowledge, I am understanding, I am kindness, I am goodness, I am the fullness of being, for I am as my source is. Its image and its likeness, and I am that in all the fullness and the wholeness of the life that lives me, the breath that breathes me, and the love that fills me. This is what I am. That's why I'm in this quiet, still, peaceful, calm, steady one moment to honor, to praise, to bless the truth of my being, and to be in deep gratitude for a greater realization of all that I am, and to see it as the grace of life itself unfolding, ever expanding, and ever becoming more and more and more of its own expression of truth. And what I'm knowing and seeing and feeling for myself, I'm doing that and being that and feeling that. For all of creation, every living thing. For there is only the one life, and that life lives me and lives in all. So praises and blesses and gratitude and thanksgiving to the one, through the one, and for its reflection, me as the expression of the one. I know that what I'm knowing, what I'm feeling, what I'm agreeing to goes forth from me now, is responded to and expanded upon and multiplied and pressed down and sent out in all directions to be that wave of upliftment and light and comfort and love. So I declare this truth now, and I release it. And I know it is so as I say. So it is.
Our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a state of peacefulness, and know that God is always there. And every thought becomes our prayer.
And so welcome into October, my dears, first Sunday. And we are committed in the first Sunday of October as an international community to focus on what it is to understand more deeply and fully prosperity of beingness, abundance of beingness. And as a result of our journey together into that deeper awareness, emerge at the end of this month feeling convicted about the fullness and the allness and the wholeness and the plenty that each one of us is. And that's quite a job, but it's up for grabs for all of us who are going to grab it, and I think we're well equal to it. And so prosperity, of course, is that sense of just simple fullness, a sense of plenty, a sense of wholeness, a sense of well-being, a sense of all being right with the world, all being well with the world. That's all abundance and prosperity is. And it has components in it, of course, and part of the components is a financial one. And of course, every time we hear prosperity in the past, anyway, we'd go straight away to portfolios and God knows whatnots and whatever it is. And spirit, by means of this electrical system today, is in and out of the place. So please understand that we're We're checking it and making sure it is what it is, but who cares? It is what it is. We're going with the flow of it. That's what fullness is all about. Plenty is all about. Abundance is all about. Going with the flow. I'm in the flow, and the flow is in me, and the flow moves through me magnificently. That's what we could be saying to ourselves. I'm in the flow, and the flow is in me, and the flow moves through me magnificently. You know, you got to be a rapper these days. You really do. So this is what fullness means. This is what fullness means, that I can be in any circumstance and be in any situation and still hang on to my sense of humor. That's what prosperity and abundance is. To the ability that you can hang on to your sense of humor, you know you're prosperous. You know you're abundant, because let me tell you, it's all a cosmic joke anyway. And so we've got to be able to cosmically laugh. Cosmically laugh. There is a difference. There is a difference between cosmic laugh and sometimes human laughter. However, that's a talk for another time. So, fullness and plenty. Now, Ernest Holmes says in the very beginning of his book, actually it's in the introduction of the book, he says, to dare to think that the Creator could create an individualized expression of himself, could create an individual and leave him bound and leave him unable to self-discover, is to think the impossible. To think that an individualized expression of infinite life itself, infinite intelligence in self, is going to be left hapless and helpless to bungle along in life and living is a nonsense. Ernest Holmes says it's just an unthinkable, unbelievable thing. Non-entertainable at all. But that each and every one of us is filled, as we said last week, with that infinite, unlimited possibility that is yours and mine to tap into, yours and mine to have the privilege of giving birth to. But the thing about it is, life is spontaneous, you see. Life is spontaneous. It's nothing if it's not spontaneous. So in this spontaneity, you and I get to go through the process of what it is to produce something out of spontaneity. I have this idea, and I'm going to plant the seed, and I plant the seed, and I tend to the seed, and I grow the seed, and the seed comes up, and it produces a harvest. That's a process. But it came out of the burst of a spontaneous idea. And so we're not created bound in any way. We're not created minus anything in any way. We're created fully orbed to be the fullness of life that we're created to be, and to experience that. Now, Scripture sometimes, when you don't really have a grasp on it, when you haven't studied it, it can seem to be full of paradoxes and contradictions, and it is full of paradoxes and contradictions if you stay at the level of just reading it as it is. So in one part of the Scripture, you have some, well, before that, I will remind you also what Ernest Holmes says. I think it's on page 47, I couldn't be sure. But anyway, he says that unless you can conceive of the possession of good, you will not possess good. Unless you can conceive of the possession of good, you will not possess good. Indeed, he says it will, and then the good that you already have will go from you. The good you already have will leave you. But that reminded me straight away of a scripture piece that says, you know, to him that has, more shall be given, and to him that has not, more shall be taken away. Never understood that. Had an argument with God about that as a child. Made no sense to me. It was mean, it was nasty, it was horrible. What do you mean? You're giving all those people who have fullness and plenty, everything, are taking the last few bits of crumbs away from the poor. I don't get it. But then later in Scripture it says, I have come that you may have life and have it in abundance, that your joy may be complete and that you may enjoy peace that passes understanding. What do you do with that? Well, in those days, you just grinned and bore it. That was it. That's what the Scripture says, and that's that. There was no discussion about it or anything else. That's what it says. That's what it is. But Ernest Holmes was picking up on that Scripture when he said, if we don't possess, if we don't conceive of the possession of good, we will never experience good, and indeed the good we have will leave us, will go from us, you see. So what the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve, and only that, nothing else. So in another way of saying it, what the mind is now conceiving and believing, the mind is achieving. So if I'm marinated in the toxic juices of negativity, guess what? I'm going to have every opportunity to experience the effect of that. I'm causing in my mind an effect that's not so hotsy-totsy and I'm not going to be happy about. So he says, Ernest Holmes further, he says, listen, get it. If he was in the biblical times, he'd say, amen, amen, I say to you. Thought is creative. Thought is creative. And Ernest Holmes says, thought is creative, and it is upon this that the whole basis, the superstructure of this teaching stands. Thought is creative. Now, how many more times and ways do we have to hear this before we go, duh? Instead of sitting in our chairs of worry, concern, and anxiety, worrying away, thinking there's nothing can be done, I'm a hopeless case. We have to do what Ernest Holmes says to do, and all of the metaphysicians and all of the seers and wise ones say, reverse the psychology. Your psychology affects your biology and your whole life. So reverse the psychology. Change up the thinking. Start the erasing and the replacing. Reverse the thought patterns so that instead of marinating in toxic juices, you're marinating that one of my cherry stuff, you know, the sweet, syrupy, lovely stuff that we all liked when we were kids. Still do, but don't imbibe the way we used to. All that lovely, the liqueurs of life. If I was a drinker, I'd be drinking liqueurs. And daiquiris and margaritas and all the sweet and desserty things. And I'd be drinking them like lemonade, so you know why I don't drink. This is it. You and I could be enjoying the sweetness of life instead of all the time choosing the vinegar, the bitterness, in the way we think, in the way we perceive. And that's what prosperity has to do with. That's what prosperity has to do with. But you and I will never be truly prosperous, never be truly complete, never be truly whole, and never be truly well until we stop our nonsense in our minds. And you see, prosperity is not just about doing the exercises and following all the advice. It's not about, oh, go and spend $10 for a cup of coffee in a great expensive hotel and enjoy the ambience and start identifying with it and tell yourself, oh yeah, I could be happy in this kind of environment. And doing all those kinds of things, which has its place. And feeling that you just could feel as much at home there as you do, you know, in the whatever, I don't want to mention any names because it might be our favorite place to dine, but whatever. But that you could be happy in a very expensive place is just as happy in a not very expensive place. So the whole idea about prosperity is I must create a prosperous consciousness, an abundant consciousness, a whole consciousness, a wellness consciousness, and then the whole thing will just start flowing through me. I'll open up the sluice gates of all the wealth and riches within me, and it will just start flowing out from me for my own good and the good of all. And that means I need to get my thinking straight. I need to get my heart straight with my feeling. I need to stop the bitterness that comes out of moaning and groaning and belly aching and judging and complaining and doing all of those things, saying all of those things and feeling all of those things that disrupt, disharmonize, separate, break up, break down, suck the oxygen, and so on. That's the first place I work on. Those are the first things I have to release and let go of. My terrible addiction to all of that nonsense, be it gossip or whatever it has to stop, it has to go. It has to. How can I feel that I'm healthy if I have all unhealthy kind of thinking going on in my mind? How can I possibly heal myself of anything physical or otherwise if I haven't healed myself mentally? I got to get in there. I got to, with the shovel and the spade, and dig deep. I have to dig up all the roots of all of that unforgiveness stuff. I have to dig up all the roots of resentment and bitterness and all that goes with it, and I don't have to spell it out because you all know it. We're all challenged by it. So don't wonder why you're not succeeding here or succeeding there or achieving this or achieving that. Huh? Go to your mind and ask your mind what's going on. Ernest Holmes says, isn't it interesting? Why so many of us are still so poor, so weak, and so afraid. Isn't it? The very words of his, why are we so still weak and poor and afraid? And this is because we haven't come into the understanding of the freedom of the law of creative mind. And the law of creative mind and the law of life is all about freedom. Freedom from angst, freedom from addiction, freedom from the terrible need to keep ourselves bogged down in negativity that stops us and blocks us from going forward and growing and mending and fixing and healing and doing the work that we need to do. Stay in a house that's falling apart without doing any repair works, and you know what's going to happen. You can't stay in a mind that's falling apart and not do any repair work, because we know the outcome of that too. So it's all in the mind, it's all in the mind, it's all about it. Whether we're talking about prosperity, whether we're talking about health, whether we're talking about relationships, whether we're talking about creative expression, it's all going to come back and cycle to the one thing. How is your mind? What's going on in your mind? Ernest Holmes, when he first met a friend of his, a very dear friend of his. They were getting together, and this friend that became his friend was very excited and delighted and so on. It was Hornaday, Bill Hornaday. And when he first came into the room, they shook hands, sat down. He says, now tell me, I want to know about your beliefs. I want to know about your beliefs. Are your beliefs satisfactory? Are they working for you? And how is your life because of what you're believing? Those are the three questions he asked him. What are your beliefs? Are they working for you? And how is your life because of what you're believing? This is all he wanted to know to begin with. That's what interested and fascinated him. Because we know where that was going. Because that all has to do with, do you understand that all thought is creative? Do you understand that your thinking and your feeling combined, your conviction, what you believe in, and what you're allowing yourself to think is so, is creating all of the circumstances of your life? All of them. All of the circumstances of your life are being created because of how you're thinking and how you're feeling and what you're believing and what you say you know. Now, what is it going to be? Are we going to go on taking the seminars, reading the books, going to the self-help shelf and following the latest guru in town and making sure we've covered this and met that one and done this and gone to that holy place and gone to that spa and gone to that whatever it is that promises the sun, moon, and the stars to get what I'm looking for, which I never will get out there? We're going to keep doing that. Are we going to once and for all stand in front of the mirror and face yourself down and say, it's you. It's you. You're the cause of it. And it could be you're standing there saying, it's you. You're the cause of it. Isn't that wonderful? All that wonderful good that's happened. You allow that to happen. You allow the life that Spirit chose to live in you as to flow through you. And look at what's happening. Rivers of grace flowing through you all the time, making the difference. A blanket of beautiful, unifying, harmonizing peace going out there every single day because you're awake and alert and conscious and monitoring your mind. Or you'll stand and the story may be different. And it may be up and down and in and out, but stand in front of the mirror every day and ask yourself, what do you believe? How's it working for you? And how's your life as a result of what you're believing? Take the power back to yourself. Bring the power back to yourself. It's all about freedom, Aaron Stone says. Freedom of the law, the law. And what we're afraid of this thing called the law. What is the law? It's nothing but the law of mind and action. That's all it is. And life is love and law. And life works through the law of creative expression, the law of mind and action, the law of thinking, the law of consciousness, the law of perceiving and conceiving and knowing and believing. That's the law. And then all of that love in the universe backs it up. And what is that love? But it's the unconditional pouring out and giving of itself every single moment, every single day. And let me tell you, the mind of Spirit never changes. The mind of Spirit never changes. Doesn't matter how you start to self-destruct or deliberately want to self-destruct. That love is never going to let you go. It's never going to let you destroy yourself. It's impossible because you are its breath, its very breath, its very essence, and it's impossible. It's impossible. It really is impossible to really and truly destroy yourself. Can't be done. Can't be done. And some people will go at it and they discover it can't be done. However, I'd like not to be in that corner. I'd like to be in the corner that wants to flourish, wants to thrive, wants to release and free all of that amazing, amazing wealth and riches that are mine. What is prosperity? What is abundance? It is the kingdom within and all of its gifts, and it is within. It is within, it is within, it is within. Nowhere out there. And how you relate to that kingdom of good, that kingdom of prosperity within you will depend on how you move through life, whether you're flourishing, whether you're thriving, whether you're succeeding, whether you're achieving or not. But if you look at yourself and see yourself in lack and limitation, if you look at yourself and compare yourself to others, if you look at yourself and you're dissatisfied, it's you putting the hose there, the foot on the hose of your good and stopping the flow. And only you can take the foot off and let that flow again. Nobody else can. Oh yes, you can be helped by others, but you're the one that has to lift your foot, for heaven's sake. You must lift your foot off that hose of supply. And you must become fearless, and you must become fearless only through knowing that my good is there for me and I am supposed to, intended to have it. I'm set up for good to cause me to flourish and to thrive. That's in my DNA. It's what I'm born to. It's what I'm born from. I'm born from a fullness and an abundance and a wholeness and a perfection and a completeness. And that's the pattern. That's my DNA. It's your DNA too. But as long as you keep in inertia, as long as you keep in the mindset that is telling you otherwise, as long as you sit in that seat of worry and concern and throw your hands up in the air and say, it's hopeless, there's nothing I can do, then there is nothing can be done through you. You've made up your mind and you've signed, sealed, and settled it. So there's going to be a whole lot of undoing of mind this coming week for us all. We're all asked to do our work, but we must do our work. And our work is to be vigilant, to guard, to guide the gates of our mind, the gates of consciousness, and let only the light in, and keep all those shadows and darkness out, kind of like a dream catcher. We have to create an invisible dream catcher as an orb, as a circle that we move in that keeps out the negativity, that stops and blocks the negativity so that the good can come in. I can't resist it today, but I must read to you this beautiful piece that has always grabbed me, my attention. These are the way all of my books look. And remind us of this great teaching, thank you, that is ours. What does it say? Where is there a space to jump that is not God? All right, that's extra. So here's what it says. It's a bonus. Spirit is all. Now, remember, when I'm reading this to you, this is a description of you, because you are spirit in form. And it's on page 82 of the textbook, and it says, Spirit is all, the center and the circumference of everything that exists, both manifest and unmanifest. It has no enemies, no differences, no otherness, no apartness, no separation from itself. It is undivided, complete, and perfect within itself, having no opposites and no opposition. It knows only its own ability, and since it is all, it cannot be hindered in any way, shape, or manner. This is a description of you. It's on page 82 of the handbook. I say, chew it, digest it, learn it by rote, and know when you're out in the marketplace, those words, let them resound within you so that you don't get sucked up into all the negativity that would have you believe that you're separate from, you're opposed to, you're apart from. You have it wrong. You see, this is the time now when this teaching can truly come to the fore, when this teaching can make a huge difference in the world, out there in the marketplace and daily life and living, when you can look in front of the mirror and make a complete commitment to yourself, to move into your sovereignty, to move into your birthright, to move into being who you are, and to accept your greatness, your moreness, your fullness, your plenty, and to know yourself to be right now everything you need to be in order to be strong and great in your own life and to bring that to all of life. If you don't do it, it's not going to be done. And if it doesn't get done, well, I don't want to go to the answer to that. But we're here for this purpose, and right now, it is right now the call for you and for me to knock it off. Knock off all the nonsense that tells you what you're not, that tells you you don't have that kind of power. It's baloney. Do you want this or don't you want this? Do you want to live from your moreness? Do you want to live from your greatness? Do you want to live from your fullness and your plenty? Then for God's sakes, do it. It's time. It's time, my dear. It's time. Oh, Mrs. McKinney, Reverend Catherine, you have a sharing.
I am not sure if I was taught that I shouldn't bother God with small things or if I just agreed with what everybody else seemed to think. If I were nervous about a test, I wouldn't say a prayer about that. I guess I figured God thought that I just should have studied harder. Science of Mind teaches that God is everywhere all the time. There's always enough, and everybody can pray for anything. Okay, I've heard that, and I believe, or think I believe it. But something happened that made me realize that I wasn't thinking as if I believed it. I had to go to this company to get a problem fixed. I dreaded it so much. I put off going, and I needed to get it fixed for my own living to be comfortable. And then I realized I needed a prayer. So I kept it simple. Guidance in what to say to the company, peace of mind about how they respond, and knowing I get my problem fixed. I chose those because that's what I kept worrying about. Well, of course it worked. I made the contact with the company. I was very calm, and I got my situation all fixed. Maybe next time I won't take so long to get there. This is such a wonderful teaching when I remember to use it.
Love to hear those stories of people applying the principles of Science of Mind. And of course, we wouldn't be hearing those stories without the community creating the center wherein we can come and get to know ourselves at that level of awareness. So thank you. Every time you hear these, it's because you are in community here. And that's a lovely thing to know. So feel good about that. And that's why we support the center, we support its work, and we know that the legacy is worth leaving for those who come in the future. So let's take our gift between our hands and say, divine love consecrates my gift. It goes forth to heal, to bless, prosper all those who receive. I rejoice in the sharing of my good, and I release my gift with love, and so it is.
I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place and guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. A world where pain and sorrow will be ended, and every heart that broken will be mended, and we'll remember we are all God's children, reaching out to touch you, reaching to the sky. We ask that life be kind and watch us from above. We pray joy will find another soul to love. Let this be our prayer, just like every child. needs to find a place. Guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. Lead us to a place and guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. We'll be saved.
Our wonderful Michael Paul, it's always a joy to see him. He's one of our dear friends. Okay, it's been a great day thus far in the kingdom, is it not? And the kingdom is within you, remember. So, get up, get out, and get at it, because as I say, really and truly, we've been challenged as truth students and, understanders of the way life works, to be the difference out there now. And so let's not balk at it. Let us not back off from it, but let's lean into it and be the goodness and the kindness and the understanding and the wisdom that is required right now. Everywhere you are, on the freeway, in the supermarket line, everywhere you are, ample opportunity for that spontaneity of spirit to show up and move through you and make a difference. I know that we're all on for this because we're living in those demanding times when simply we're really pushed to the button of being what we say we are and showing up as what we say we believe. So we're going to dedicate this prayer now to unity and harmony and an understanding growing in our own land, in our own communities, all over our own land, and of course then beyond into the world. But we're going to, as my mother would say, charity begins at home, but it should never end there. So since charity begins at home, we are going to put the endeavor and the effort into saying, no, I don't think so. I know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm hearing. I know what I'm being told, but it tain't so. It tain't so. It's not the truth. And you and I have to know another, or I shouldn't say another, but you and I have to know the one truth, the only truth, that we are all one, and no matter what, good comes out of everything. And no matter what, all of us will come to know the truth that sets us free sooner or later. We just want it to be a bit sooner. And if you and I are out there doing all that we can do, we won't always succeed, but we'll get up, dust ourselves off, and start all over again. Yes? Yes. We're dedicating this prayer to our endeavor, to our commitment, and to that peace, to that understanding, to that unity, to that harmony. I say, like the girl in the store when I approached her at Christmas with two huge flowing over carts in Michael's, "Bring it on," she said. "Bring it on." So we say, bring it on. Every opportunity to walk the talk and to stop talking what is not the walk. All right, then. We got it. Now, let's say this. Let's say this like we mean it and say it as a commitment. I know divine love enfolds me. Divine light leads me. Divine life lives in me. Divine wisdom inspires me. Divine compassion expresses through me. And divine power protects me. All that I am is Spirit's life and expression. It is good and very good. With deep joy and generosity filling me, I go forward now in sacred service, supporting a compassionate world that works for all. I move through my days with grace and ease, in peace and love, in health and wellness, in fullness and plenty, and in loving relationship with all, what I now know for myself, with blessing and in deep gratitude, I know for all life. What do I know? There is only God, there is only God, there is only God, by means of you, remember. And you won't be outside the door when you'll be put to the test, but that's fun. Bring it on. Peace song.